Okay, welcome everyone. Good evening. My name is Jamie Schenker-Passero. I am the Associate Director of the Temple Small Business Development Center, and today you are here for Facebook Basics for Small Business. Does that sound right? Hopefully it does. Before we begin, I want to make a disclaimer. Hopefully you read our description about this event really closely. This webinar is introductory. Okay, so this is for small business owners or entrepreneurs who are not really comfortable using Facebook yet. So perhaps you don't use Facebook at all for your business, or you're just starting out. But if you're comfortable posting, that's something you know how to do, that's something you've been doing for a bit right now, I would say that this is not the training for you. And you can hop off and I will not be offended at all. We just want to make sure that this is a good use of your time. So again, this is really introductory and we're going to be covering the basics. I will show you our agenda in a moment. So about us in general, hopefully you know about the Temple Small Business Development Center. We are here to help small businesses start and grow, and we're doing this virtually right now with our consulting, which is our lead service, and that's really the core program of all 1,000 SBDCs that exist across the nation. That's what we do, is the one-on-one consulting at no cost to you, thanks to our federal and local funding. And then with my side of it as associate director, as our educational programming. So we bring you usually free webinar topics that cover hard skills, soft skills. We really try and provide a broad range of topics for you. And we have a lot of upcoming webinars, even in 2020. And then we already have a fairly robust calendar for 2021 too. And I'll share some select events with you shortly. This is me. And like I mentioned, this is a good overview of the services that you can expect. So we're doing everything virtually. We have a resource page that we're updating with a library of previous recordings to webinars, which could be useful. Resources about the grants that are coming and going, which is a lot to keep track of. And we also have some specializations in digital transformation. So if you're trying to build your e-commerce platforms, that's something that we're doing some special project work now in that area, as well as a focus on the hospitality industry. We can also help you with preparation for applying for loans, though those are a bit scarce right now, but also applying for some of the relief programs, which may come with some documentation that we want to get you ready for. So let's say PPP reopens. We want you to be ready with all of your documentation so that you can apply right away. We also have a legal clinic and a branding clinic, and I can tell you more about that if you have questions. This is the agenda, so I'm just going to pop that up on the screen while I look at the chat box and see if there are any questions. Okay, good. People just introducing themselves. Okay, I would say if you do have questions for today, everybody is muted. The best place to put questions is in the Q&A so that I can get to them in a more organized fashion. Okay, so here's that agenda that I promised. We did some introductions. We're going to talk about why we need to focus some of our very valuable time on Facebook and social media in general. We'll talk about that. We'll talk about how to get started. So like I said, this is very introductory for folks who maybe have not even set up their business account yet. We will go over how to set up your business account, and we'll talk about content, and we'll talk about scheduling. So that should be an hour and a half for tonight, okay? All right, so let's talk generally about the social media landscape. And this is a silly infographic, but it's kind of helpful to explain the differences. So Facebook, I like coffee. Twitter, I'm currently drinking a coffee. Google+, this is a good place to drink coffee. LinkedIn, I am good at drinking coffee. Pinterest, here is a collection of recipes for coffee. YouTube, watch me as I drink coffee or make coffee. Yelp, this is a good place to drink coffee. Instagram, here is a vintage picture of me drinking coffee. So they all have their subtleties. And we will actually, in 2021, we will be leading more sessions like this on a monthly basis, and we'll delve into the other platforms as well. So stay tuned for that. I'm really excited that we're going to be offering that since we've gotten a lot of requests for it. So do you use Facebook? And we can use the hands up reaction in Zoom. And what about your family, friends, and most importantly, customers? Do you use it? And I'm going to also check the Q&A. Will this webinar be archived? Yes, it will be. And we'll send out slides after as well. All right, so probably you're using Facebook, or someone next to you is using Facebook, or your family is using Facebook, or your customers is using Facebook. We'll get to the stats soon, but the answer is everybody is using Facebook, and that means that as business owners, we need to use it for our business. It is just a reality of this world that we live in, all right? So it can be intimidating, but why do we need to have this presence? So some obvious answers: we're connecting with our existing customers as well as attracting new customers. That's the basic reason why we want to use it for our business. So you're reminding your existing customers that you exist as a business, right? And social media is a great way to do that because they're on the platform, they're just absent-mindedly looking around and they're like, oh, right, I've been meaning to get my dog groomed, and I'm seeing this little post from my local dog groomer. I should make an appointment, right? And attracting new customers too. So maybe somebody clicked like on your post and their friend sees that activity and they've been looking for a dog groomer, attracting new customers. You're also demonstrating competency because it has become somewhat of an expectation that businesses have a social media presence. So like I said, it's like an inevitability. So when you don't have an online presence, people might wonder, is this a savvy business? Is this an open business, right? Because a lot of people are getting their updates about the businesses from their social media accounts. And if it's not active, someone might think that you're closed. It is also a way to do research. There is nothing wrong, and actually it's a good thing, to see what your competition is doing. So you can see, what are they doing right? What are their customers responding to? What are they doing not so right that you want to avoid? And maybe there are even opportunities to collaborate. It's a space to gather and share new ideas. So in general, social media and social media network, this is a standard. This is how we are communicating with each other now, especially these days. It is a free / low-cost marketing tool. It's a two-way conversation and a way to appear professional. Let me pull up some stats. And this is a few months old, so it's only more now. I'm gonna pull up these stats while I check the chat. Okay, all right. So let's see, this is from, oops, let me get back to that. This is from April, so you better believe the numbers are only going up, right? This is, I think we're up to almost 3 million regular users of Facebook now. It's just, I mean, those are the numbers, right? Like I was saying, this is the reality of the world we live in. This is the inevitability that we just need to have this presence. The statistics don't lie. Now, let's think about how we use Facebook in a real general sense and how we use our websites in a real general sense. Both are important. What's the difference? So Facebook, with almost 3 billion users and almost 1.8 billion daily users, it provides businesses with an avenue to stay in touch, reach new customers, and analytics that are pretty easily accessible to track your progress. Okay, But your website is really the landing pad. That's where you want everything to be. That's where you want people to go. That's where you want all the information to be. Facebook should usually get people to your website. A lot of the times you want to link to something on your website to get them there, because that is what matters ultimately for SEO, which we will not get into, but that's search engine optimization. You may have heard of it. And the general concept is getting your business higher up on Google when someone searches for your type of business, right? If someone searches dog groomer Philadelphia, you want to be on the first page as opposed to the second page, right? So anything that you can do to get on the first page is what you should do. And the more action to your page, your website, the better your ranking will be, right? So if you have people going to your website from your Facebook page, that is a good thing. That's what you want to be doing. So is anybody saying, or has anybody been saying for a while, I do not know where to start with social media and with Facebook? I really don't know where to start. Let's talk about, let me check the chat. Yes, you are saying yes, yes. Okay, good. Then you're in the right place. Let's talk about setup, okay? Let's make this not scary. Get my slides to work. All right, so my first piece of advice is to play around with a personal page. Now, I have businesses come to me who aren't necessarily comfortable with the idea of being on Facebook, especially having their personal information on Facebook. And that is fine, because you do not have to include that information. You don't even need to put your full name when you do your personal page. You could have a nickname, you could use your middle name, whatever. You don't have to put much in it at all. But what I am saying is important is that you take some time to get used to this landscape so that you understand the language. Because there is a language to Facebook and to social media that people speak. And if you just step in there without taking the time to know how people interact and speak, it's going to show and come off strange. So my first piece of advice is to have a personal account and to watch as an observer. That's my first piece of advice. Let me see if there's a question. Okay, yep, people are agreeing. So then we are going to create a business page, which is separate. So you can go to this URL that I posted, and it will guide you through the steps, all right? The first things you will set up will be the photo, and notice there's a cover photo and a main photo. And each will have specifications for the dimensions, and it is highly recommended that you have photos that can fit within those dimensions, because otherwise it's going to look a little funky. So typically with the main photo, it's a smaller square. I'll show you it in a minute, but it's a smaller square. You're going to want to probably put your logo in that smaller square. And then at the top, which is your cover photo, you may want to showcase your storefront. You may want to showcase some of your products. And what you can do if you don't have, this is going to be a wider photo. It's going to be wider than, it's not going to be square, it's going to be wide. So if you don't have a photo that fits well in those dimensions, what you can do is maybe have a montage of 3. Maybe it's your 3 top products, something like that. You can do that. Just make sure it looks professional. Just make sure the photos that you're using were taken by a professional. It's not going to look good if you don't. If you need a placeholder, you can use stock photos. Make sure that you legally have the rights to use them. Pixabay is a source that you can use. pixabay.com, I believe. You can get photos for free there that are legal to use. You can also use a free app that I just posted. You can see that in the bullet, Canva. You can use that to manipulate photos, they also have stock photos you can use there. And you can actually say this is a Facebook cover photo and they will give you the dimensions. So you don't have to guess. That is very, very handy. So those are the main things that you're going to want to do. You have your photo, then they're going to ask you questions, your business hours, your location, what type of business it is, right? Those are all the things that they will guide you through to set up your profile. Then you want to get some people to like your page. And that's the language that Facebook uses, right? Liking your page or your posts. That's the acknowledgement. That is, that's what we're looking for. When you are starting, the way to do that is via the connections that you have back to that personal account. So let's say I have my dog grooming business page that I just set up, and then I have my personal account page with my family and friends that I've connected with. Now I'm going to invite them and say, hey, like my dog grooming page. And that's how you can get that first fan base, so you don't have 0 people. Okay. You should also make sure, this is going to be a theme, but you're also going to need to make sure that this is not just about you promoting your business, because that looks ugly. No one likes that. You want to be a good community member. So find other pages of neighbor businesses, of maybe nonprofits, of community organizations, and follow or like those pages as your page. And there is a button to do it. I will remember to show you that. And then you'll start sharing. Then you'll start putting out the content. Might be scary to do that first post, but don't worry. So this is just a screenshot of our page. So we have our cover photo, and then we have our main photo there. So just so you can see it. How do we post like a pro? And let me just stop for a second and see if there are questions. I don't think so. Oh, someone asked about the difference between a personal account and a business account. So, I mean, those are very different things. What you can do with a business account is very different than what you can do with a personal account. With a business account, you get a lot of tools behind the scenes to see how your posts are performing. But they're very separate. You want to set up that personal account first, and then the business account will be specified as a business account. Very different capabilities, and you'll be able to see that soon. Okay, so speaking of, one thing that you're going to want to check is that when you do create a post, you're using your business account and not your personal account. And there will be a little photo. So whether it's whatever photo you use for your personal account, whether it's your face or not, versus whatever photo you use for your business account, that'll be the indicator of who is speaking. So just double check that it's coming from your business account. So that's, I think the best thing to do now is just to show you. So we're going to do our demo. All right, let me check the Q&A. Is it okay to make references to your business account from your personal account? Yeah, totally. I think that's great. Depending on your audience, you could say, hey, I just started this business page, and post the link. Please give me a like and share. Great, love it. Definitely do that. When you accept an invitation to join a group, does it go to your business or personal account? That will depend. That will depend. There are some groups that you can join. Usually a group is going to be from your personal account, but there may be some depending where you can join as your business account, but usually it's going to be your personal account. Let's see. In the last few weeks, I've had 500 requests to be friends, people from all over the world. How do I decide who to accept? How do I identify as fake people? So I'm assuming that's for your personal account because you don't get friend requests to your business account. And that is a very personal decision. If you do not know someone, you do not have to accept them. You definitely do not. There are certainly bots and spammers out there. So if you say, I don't know who this person is, it is totally okay to not accept them as a friend. Okay, good. I think I answered everything in there. Okay, now let me pull up. Can you see my screen, my Facebook screen now? Someone tell me if you can. Chat. Yes, okay, great. So this is actually this is an old. All right, so I'm going to our business page now. All right, so this is our business page. And let's say I want to create a post. One thing I will tell you is that there's now a few different places to do that. And this is as of a few months ago, they changed the layout. Unfortunately, this happens quite a bit where Facebook changes the layout, and it makes it harder for people who are newer to the platform to get used to it. It does make it a little harder, but I'm sure it's in the interest of improving the user experience overall, right? So there are two ways, two places where you can create your first post, but the easiest one is right under your information of the business page. Create a post right here. And let's say this is your first post. You can say, I just created my Facebook page, hope to connect, whatever, right? These days, people are very visual. So you're almost always going to want to have a visual element with whatever you're posting on social media. So you're going to want to add a photo or a video, okay? And then I mentioned in my presentation, tagging. Tagging is a great way to let somebody else know, whether it's a person or a business, that you have just spoken about them. So let's say I want to talk about, let's see, who do I want to talk about? Let's say I want to talk about, we're doing an event with the African American Chamber of Commerce. So let's say I want to say, hope to connect. Please join us at our webinar with the, and now I'm going to press the @ symbol, and I'm going to already start. So I'm going to start typing, and usually something will pop up. So there. Now that means that that business page will see that I've mentioned them, which is a good thing because that means that they may share it or like it or comment. So it's a good way to get attention to whatever it is that you're posting. The other trick, kind of finesse piece that I want to show you is when you're posting a link. Posting links is great, and you're going to do a lot of it. Maybe it's a link to your website. Maybe it's a link to a specific product on your website that you want to highlight. Maybe it's an article. How do we do this? I'm going to link to our website, copying the whole URL, pasting it. Now I'm giving it a minute, and watch what happens. So right below, there's now this whole window with a preview to the website that I just posted. What you want to do to look like a more savvy user, this is the next step. You delete the URL because Facebook already picked it up and now you don't need it. If you leave the URL in, you look like a beginner. All right, so remember that, please. And then you can press post. I'm not going to do that. So those are the basics, the very, very basic. Maybe this is very familiar to you, but that's the basic of posting. Let me see. I'm going to see if anyone has questions about posting in general. I'm not seeing any. If the company is not listed with the @ I mean, that means that they may not have a Facebook page. Sometimes it's just tricky to find them. And what I'll do is I'll actually open up another tab, and in the Facebook search bar, I'll try and search that company, because maybe their name is spaced out or spelled a little differently. Like maybe it's Temple SBDC versus Temple Small Business Development Center. So I'll try and do a little research and see if I can grab it, and then go back to the box where I'm posting. Yes, you use for Facebook pages and Twitter and Instagram, to answer that question that just popped up. All right, so let's see. How do you navigate back and forth from your business and personal page? So you will see, all right. That's a good question, and I will show that to you. So this is answering the question, how do I navigate this? Let's say this is your personal page. Let's pretend, because this is technically our personal Facebook page, because before there were such thing as business pages, you had to have a personal page for your business. So this is just a very old relic. You don't need to know that, but you'll have a shortcut for your page that you can get to. And you can switch back and forth, or up here in the very top right, there'll be an arrow, and you can navigate that way. Let's see if there are more questions. Is it okay to post videos that I create onto my Facebook business page? Yes, definitely. Videos are awesome. You have two ways of doing that. You can post the link to where it's being housed. Like, for example, if you're doing it on YouTube, you can post the YouTube link, but you will likely get more engagement if you actually upload the video to Facebook. So upload versus posting the link, you'll probably get more engagement if you are uploading the actual video. Let's answer that. Should you only reference to business personnel when starting a business account, or add friends? I mean, that's a very personal decision. I would probably think that your business is something that your network supports, so that you would want to invite your family and friends to give your page that attention. But that's a personal decision. The 500 requests have come to my business page. So to the person who asked that, that's not possible. You don't get friend requests to a business page. People can like the page, but you wouldn't accept or reject them like you would with a personal page. What if I don't want my business page linked to my personal page? No one sees that on the back end, so you don't have to worry about that. There will not be a connection. If people are on your business page, they will not see your personal page. Okay. All right. So back to the presentation. Now, another question that you may have, that you may fear perhaps, is I don't know what to share, right? Does that maybe ring a bell for you? Maybe you're thinking, my industry, it's not glamorous, there's nothing to post about. Those are some questions you might have, but we'll work on that. Now, one thing I usually like to bring up first is what not to talk about, what not to post about, which generally people identify as politics, religion, things like that. I would say that that's generally a good rule, is to keep the business page pretty professional and apolitical. But I will say this: these are different times that we're living in, and if you have some strong views, and they're important to you and potentially important to your values as a business, your business is allowed to have social values, right? So if you feel like it ties into your business and it's too important to not share, then perhaps maybe you can do that. I would say always be tactful. always be respectful. Okay, so that's kind of my newer caveat. Now, what do we share on the other side of things? What can we share? We're sharing articles and advice. We're sharing tips. You want to be an expert in your industry. You want people to think about your page because they can get something useful from it, not just because you're a business that they will purchase from or use a service. Pictures and videos, like we said, always. Some things you can think about: photos of happy customers, products, obviously, but photos of happy customers are great. They're a great thing to use. Whether you take the photo yourself, or these are photos that your customers have generated. That's the best, if they're sharing photos of themselves or your product that you can reshare with permission, of course. That's great. Behind the scenes, people are really liking that. People like to feel connected, especially you want to embrace the nature of being a small business, right? And people like the story behind it. Any specials, of course, you're going to want to post that. New items, deals, coupons, latest news, things of that nature. Holiday specials. We have Small Business Saturday coming up. That's a really good opportunity to have some sort of content. Just say, hey, shop local. And there are free resources that you can get to templates that you can post, that you can customize for Small Business Saturday that you can use. And I'll remember to share that in the follow-up. Videos and Facebook Live, which we won't really go into too much. If you do Facebook Live, you should know that you want to promote it well in advance. You want to make sure that usually you want it to be at least 10 minutes, because that builds up on traction and gets people viewing. So those are just some tips on content. And you want to be creative. You want to watch and see what other people are doing. The trick is thinking about the ratio of being self-promotional versus informative and helpful. You really want it to be more of the helpful and the informative and the interesting, and a little bit, maybe 25% promotional of your product or service. Okay, so that's important. This is not just about, here's my new product, buy it. That's not where we want to be. That doesn't look good. That's not what customers like. Does it take more work? Yeah, it does. It does take more work. It takes more thought, but it's important to not just be a self-promotion machine. Our customers do not like that. So share tips, share top 5 lists, share articles that you find interesting. And we'll talk about ways to make that a little easier for you shortly. Let's check the questions. Oh, someone asked, what do you mean by deleting the URL? Do you mean the picture that came up as a link? So no, you're deleting the actual, when you copied and pasted that URL, waited a minute, then Facebook generated the box, then you're deleting what you pasted. You're deleting the URL because Facebook has already captured that link. That's what you're deleting. Don't delete the picture, because that's what they're going to click on. Let's check the Q&A. What content is more important to post on your business page? I guess maybe if you could clarify, I'm not sure if there's like a this or that. What content is more important to post on your business page? Yeah, if you clarify that, I'll be happy to answer it. All right. So, like I mentioned, I want to make your lives a little bit easier when it comes to gathering content, because I know it may seem intimidating to have to come up with all of this stuff every day, new stuff. That's hard to take the time to do it. So one easy thing that you can do is use Google Alerts. Google Alerts will search the internet for you, and they'll find articles based on the keywords that you put in. So let's say you are an accountant. Here are some of the alerts that you might want to set up. tax legislation new, tax regulations federal, tax law Pennsylvania. You might want to set up these alerts. Of course, always have your business name be one of your alerts, but you might also want to have some industry phrases, because that way, if there's any new articles, new news generated that touch on those topics, you will get a notification, and you can set it, you can get daily emails, you can get weekly emails, however you set your preferences, and it's all in one place, right? So then you can go to your email and you can say, oh, there were 5 articles on that came up for the topics, the alerts that I set up. Now I have content to share. So that's a good one, and it's pretty easy. Another tool that I will share is feedly.com. This is a free RSS feed. You don't have to know what that means, but you can put all of your news source feeds in there. So let's say there are 6 industry magazines or blogs or whatever it is. There are websites that regularly have interesting things for your industry. You put them all in one place, and then you can go to Feedly and it'll show you all the articles that you have not read yet. You can also set up keywords similar to the Google alerts. You can set up keywords here too for it to bring in articles for you. There is a basic free version of this, and then there are certain upgrades if you want special features, but I've never done that. Feedly.com, really good resource. I think there are some questions. Where do we sign up for this? I'm not sure what this means. If it's Google Alerts, just type in Google Alerts into Google. It'll come up for you, if that answers it. Okay. Oops. All right, so this is just a little bit about etiquette and engagement that I mentioned previously. You have to be active. You have to give to receive. You want to think about that percentage. Responding to positive and negative stuff that comes to you. We will be doing a workshop, actually, I think on Wednesday, that goes into that topic more specifically, so you can sign up for that. But in general, it is good to respond to both positive and negative feedback. With negative feedback, what you want to do is bring it to a private conversation as soon as possible. So I'm sorry you had this experience. Please send us an email and we can discuss further. You don't want to get into this publicly. You really don't. If there is any critique or complaint. Yeah, first check. It's always good to have good records, because then you can say, hey, I have no record of so-and-so ever coming to our store. I think you may be meant to review a different establishment. That happens, and it's okay to say that. So you want to be an active member of social media. You want to like other posts and pages in your news feed, and you can look at our page and see what we do, and do your research, right? Because if you like another page, they'll see you and maybe they'll like you back, right? And think about local, think about being local. Think about who exists in your neighborhood. That's other businesses, like I mentioned, community groups, community development corporations, business improvement districts. See if they exist. They probably have social media presences, and you want to like and follow them, and they'll probably do the same for you, maybe even share what it is that you're doing. Check the Q&A again. Yes, everything will be shared. GoogleAlerts.com. If you just search Google Alerts into Google, it'll come up, I promise. How about posting a Zoom video of clients giving a testimonial or interviewed where the setting has not been staged from the dining room table? Yeah, I think a testimonial can look all professional or not. I think that's a great idea, Ralph, about having a more informal client review. I think right now that's very timely and people would respond well to that. So I think that's a great idea. Let's see, there's a question about what type of post should what should I be posting on my business page regularly. So again, the type will depend on the frequency, and we'll get into that in a little bit. Actually, we'll talk about frequency. How will I get noticed is a question you may be asking. So to the person who asked the difference between a business and a personal account, there are insights that Facebook provides for your business page that will tell you things about who is engaging with you. So one of the easier things to look at and act on would be what time of day are your customers most engaging with you, and then you're probably going to want to post more often then, like during those times when they're active. So I'm going to show you how to do that. So that's a free way to increase engagement, is to post at times where your particular customers are more active, and then there are the paid ways to get more engagement, which would be advertisements and boosts. Okay, an advertisement for your Facebook page is a good place to start, because you are getting more people to like and pay attention to your Facebook page overall. If you have a specific post that you've created, maybe there's a new product and you want just that to be the thing that people see, you can do a boost and put money into having more people see that particular post. And it can be a post or an event. That could be something too, and I'll show you that. Let's get into it, shall we? All right, so I'm on my business homepage, and I'm going to go to the left, and I'm going to go to Publishing Tools. My internet is slow today, so let's let that pull up. Let's go to, actually, I said I would show you Insights first. Right, okay, so Insights is where we get information about our customers. So if we want to see post, you can get, you can easily see the past, all the posts that you've done and what type of engagement they've gotten, the reach. So reach is kind of like how many people have seen it. Engagement is how many people have actually done something, like clicked it or shared it. So post engagement, I clicked on post engagement for a specific week. And it looks like for us, our audience is pretty consistent regardless of the day of the week. And it looks like the more popular times are between 7 a.m. and 6 p.m. So what that means is we should not be posting at 1 a.m. We should not be posting at 11 p.m. But we still have a pretty broad range of times. You might find that you don't with your customers. That's possible. But this is a really good tool because it takes the guessing out of it, right? So you're not going to get that with a personal page. That's the Insight tool that's just available to your to business pages. Okay. Now, let's say I want to do a boost. Let's say we have an event coming up and we want to bring some more attention to it, and we are looking at our marketing budget and we're saying, oh, I have room to do a $50 boost for an upcoming event, right? So this was the event that I mentioned that we have coming up on review platforms. So let's say we want to get more people to attend the event. Facebook will do a lot of the work for you and how it looks. Now it's warning me, okay, there's too much text. So you can either delete it, reword it, whatever it tells you to do. And then I'll give you a little preview of what your ad will look like, okay? Now, the part that your entrepreneurial hat needs to really come on is with your targeting, okay? Now, when you did your business plan, you thought about your customer. You thought about who is your target customer. And this is exactly the place where you're going to need to revisit that, pull that information, and put that in. So you can fill out things like, where do they live? How old are they? What are their hobbies, right? These are all things that you can do in this boost area. So you can really narrow it down, and it will even tell you your audience will be 50,000 or 10,000, whatever it is. And then you set your budget. And then you can, let's say we want it to run for 3 days and we want it to spend $50. So it'll tell you that we'll reach this many people per day, for example. Just make sure that that you have that total budget in and it's not like a daily spending, because you just don't want to get yourself in trouble and have expenses that you don't know about. And then you would link your credit card. So that's the basics of doing a boost. If it's confusing to you, we have consultants who can help you with it in more detail. Let's see. Checking for questions. Okay, I think we're good. Check in the chat box. Are Google alerts only for business? No, I mean, you can really put any search term in there and you'll get updates on any news in that. So you can use it however you want. Okay, so the next topic, your next worry, your next fear, maybe, I do not have time for this. I am very busy. How do you expect me to do this, Jamie? This is too much. Are you thinking that? Maybe you are. Well, oh, yes, you are thinking that. People are raising their hands. So there are ways to get the burden of constant content to help alleviate that. All right. And the easiest way is to schedule your posts out for the week. So I recommend setting aside some time, maybe it's Sunday night, and you say, okay, every Sunday night at 9 o'clock, I'm going to take an hour and I'm going to schedule out my posts for the week. Depending on your business, depending on your bandwidth, will determine how often you are posting. I can't give you a frequency, right? Because I don't know your capacity. I don't know your bandwidth. I would say in general on Facebook, you want to be posting a few times a week. If you can't, and you can just do once or twice a week, that's okay. But I would recommend it a few times a week. I really would. All right, let me show you how to schedule. So we are going to our business page. We are going to publishing tools. And again, they just changed this a few months ago. Now we are creating a post in publishing tools. Let's say we want to say we have a new blog post about our team member Kiki. This just happened to be the latest post that we did. And then I put the link, and then I delete the URL. Actually, let's just do that again. I feel like you would all like to see that again. So let's do that again. I'm going to our website. I'm going to our blog. I know there's an article I want to use. Going to the article, copying the URL, pasting the URL, and link preview. Yeah, actually, delete that. Now, instead of publish, I'm going to schedule. And I'm going to say, I want this to go Wednesday at 10 a.m. schedule a post. That's what I would do, but I'm not going to do it now. Do that. And then you're done for the week and you don't have to think about it. Pretty handy. There are some options for scheduling. So the one I just showed you was using Facebook's tool directly, which I think is pretty good because it gives you the most control and you can really make sure that it's going to come out the right way. There's also hootsuite.com and buffer.com. Those are other sites that you can use. And with those platforms, you can also post on multiple channels at the same time. So you can post on Instagram and Twitter and Facebook at the same time. You technically can post the same content, but since each platform has its own language, you might want to be a little careful with that because it doesn't always look good if you're posting the same exact thing, because they each have their own ways of speaking. So just be careful cross-posting too much. But those are some useful tools to consider if you like the idea of scheduling your post in advance and if you have multiple platforms especially. You can also hire help, right? You can also have help with this. A lot of people needing work right now. You can find student workers on Handshake. That's a place to post opportunities for students. You can find freelancers on websites like upwork.com. Plenty of people who are looking for opportunities to work on social media. So those are the basics. Those are the basics. Those are the tips and tricks that I really wanted to go over. And I'm going to go take questions and make sure that everybody's question is answered. We have social media accounts. We have a Facebook page, we have an Instagram page, and a Twitter page. Please go ahead and like us there. And if you post things, we can reshare them if you tag us and we know about it. So consider doing that so we can have a conversation, because it's really about having a conversation. Here are our upcoming events. Like I mentioned, we have an online platform specific webinar coming up on the 18th. Also relevant, getting your local business on Google Maps. That's a good one coming up. Intro to Digital Marketing on the 30th. In e-commerce on December 7th. And Pitch Deck Bootcamp in January, which is a great one to look out for. We also have some courses. If you aren't familiar, we do a construction management class. Our next one will open up again in the summer. And we'll be doing our next business plan class starting in January.